Last night, BT, a frustrating loss. This team's driving me crazy here because the inconsistencies. Now, I don't care about the stupid NBA Cup. It's tough to watch. Like the idea that you would get caught up in that. I'm almost glad the Knicks didn't advance and win this stupid cup and have to talk about maybe a banner or whatever ridiculous thing you do for it. That doesn't matter. So it's a loss that really didn't bother me in isolation, other than the inconsistencies and the lack of defense that this team continues to play. That, to me, is alarming here.
Best offense in the NBA, too soft for my taste. And I talked about this before the season where I was a little worried, more so with Hartenstein's exit, that they would lose some of their defensive tenacity and toughness, and they have. Now, that doesn't mean that it won't return to an extent when Mitchell Robinson eventually comes back, and I know he's starting to grind. I've seen some videos of him. Knicks have been posting and others posting where he's more active at practice. No, I don't get me wrong. They're very fun to watch, and when you watch them, provided it's the right night, I mean, you're sitting there saying, this team could get a championship here.
But it shouldn't be provided it's the right night.
It's too intermittent for my taste. They lost to a horrendous Jazz team about a month or so ago. Remember that out in Utah? They lost to the Pistons last Saturday at home. They could have easily lost up in Toronto a few nights ago when they allowed Barrett to drop 40, and last night. And, get punked again. But I'm just tired of them getting punked by Trae Young.
Yeah, he sucks anyway.
Well,
the Hawks are so they've gone down such a bad path since when they beat the Knicks when it counted in the postseason. Like, the only thing that matters to them now is beating the Knicks. And they've been great at that, and give Trae Young credit for that. He's been a great villain in New York. He owns the Garden. They own the Knicks. But ultimately, the Hawks stink.
Yeah, I mean, what are they? A couple of games over 500. I don't think
12 now.
Yeah, I don't think that they stink, but I don't think they're going anywhere. Listen,
remember there was this thought that they were going to ascend.
You mean a couple of years back? Yes, that's true. That is true.
Come on, nobody.
Well, they got to the conference finals. Remember that a couple years back?
Right.
And they have definitely taken a few steps back. Listen, the Knicks got punked on the backboard. That's why they lost the game. Don't tell me about the referee.
All right, but who's to blame here?
Well, I think Karl-Anthony Towns is to blame, and here's why I think that. You look at the numbers. 19 rebounds.
Yeah.
19 points last time for you. I mean, not that 19's a lot, but hey, it basically had a 20-20 game. Was he Moses? Karl-Anthony Towns did not play well last night. He's not alone. The Knicks Brunson didn't shoot the rock well, 5 for 15. You can't give up 22 offensive rebounds. I don't want to hear about this.
Right, but it can't just be Karl-Anthony Towns on the board.
I'm not saying it's just him. I'm not saying
but that's why I'm legitimately asking, like, you say that there's an element of they lack toughness. They do. Soft. I don't think that that's the case with Karl-Anthony Towns. So then, is it with Anunoby? No, he's proven to be a tough player, but last night, obviously, 1 of 9 from downtown. Is it Bridges?
No, Bridges has been actually really good for the past month or so. He's obviously cranked it up a little bit. I don't think Jalen Brunson's been the same. I don't think Jalen Brunson's quite the same now, but I'm going to focus on the defense.
Yeah.
And listen, time ticking. And Knicks have the ball. I want the hands. I want the ball in the hand. I want Brunson taking the shot. I love Jalen Brunson, but I think he's taking a little step back this year, mostly because he wants to get Karl-Anthony Towns comfortable, which I get. But I think part of the problem here, without Mitch and without Hartenstein to protect the rim, Jalen Brunson's never going to be a good defender. He's just not. I mean, he tries. He's not good. He's bad. So right now, as a primary, ball defender, and of course you have OG running up and you have Bridges coming. I get that. You switch. You could trap. Understood. But Jalen Brunson's the point guard, and he's basically a turnstile on defense. And he was a turnstile last year. But the difference is you had somebody like Hartenstein or Mitchell Robinson waiting. And now, because Karl-Anthony Towns is first of all, he's not the defender Hartenstein or Mitch is, and he never will be, though he tries, and he does rebound. But now, because of the problems with the Brunson, you have Karl-Anthony Towns trying to clean that up, and as he's trying to clean that up a little bit, and he's not the defender the other two guys were, now you've got some space on the backboard to go and attack the glass, and that's why you give up 22 offensive rebounds, which is pitiful. And by the way, the Knicks are 8-4 at the Garden. I mean, it's not like they're 4-8, but 8-4 is not good enough. You're at home. You're 8-4. You should be 11-1 if you want to win the championship.
But I think
I don't love what I'm saying.
No,
I'm telling you, I've said this all year.
I don't like the inconsistency. It's frustrating, but I mean, it is an entirely new team and new group, and I love what Towns said last night after the game. Hey, even LeBron, it took them a year with him and Wade and Bosh to figure it out before they started winning championships. And maybe that's going to be the case. Hopefully it's sooner, but maybe it's going to take a year to learn themselves and figure out what they need to be better at and what other maybe secondary piece. I still want to see what happens when Mitch comes back, assuming that he does come back healthy and stay healthy in January. Let's see what happens there. Mm-hmm. That's a huge part of this thing. Tibbs knows it. They got to be tougher. They got to be better defensively. They have to be more consistent. But with the offensive potential, that to me is something I would trade for every single time, especially in today's NBA. It's just frustrating to watch the inconsistencies night in, night out with this group.
It is. And listen, I understand there's going to be a process here, and I'm certainly one of the first to recognize that. I understand how basketball goes, but I'm not asking you to go up to Boston and win by 15 points or go to Cleveland and win by 10 or 12. Can you beat the Pistons at the Garden?
Yeah.
Can you take care of the lowly Jazz?
Yeah.
Can you, for once, stop Trae Young? I mean, they should have annihilated the Raptors the other night. I mean, how the hell you let R.J. Barrett go up for 40+? And listen, I believe the ceiling's really high. And I love watching the Knicks. I'm bothered by the inconsistencies. They're not as tenacious as they were a year ago. And then the one other thing, and I was a little bit turned off by Tom Thibodeau last night. I want to tell you why.
Why?
So I'm in the car driving back from St. John's, working the game last night. Johnny's getting away with Brian stinks. He's supposed to win the game. But I'm listening to I missed the end of the Knicks game, though I'm checking the score in the booth with Mink. By the time I get in the car, I've got the Knicks post-game show on. I got Tom Thibodeau telling me about the referee. We knew who was reffing. So for those who don't know the story, I'm forgetting her name. One of the female officials, and it's not a gender thing, but I'm just pointing out she's one of the few female refs in the NBA. The Knicks were 0-5 going into the game last night when she refs. For whatever reason, there's trends, and obviously it impacts betting. Now they're 0-6, and he's whining about it. And Tom Thibodeau, to me, who I love, who is old school, no excuses, all in, foxhole guy, defensive culture. I am a Tom Thibodeau supporter and believer. I don't want to hear about that after the game.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about it when you got punked by a team you're supposed to beat. Don't tell me about the refs, and don't tell me about the tendencies. Be better. And I believe they will be, but don't give me the excuses, Tom.
I hate the officiating stuff. It happens all the time with bad teams. Excuse me, with all teams. Bad nights for officials, whatever. It's just part of it in the NBA. I hate that excuse when fans throw it out there, when coaches certainly throw it out there. I don't want to hear it. Everybody gets screwed at certain points. Maybe the Knicks more so than others certain times with Brunson, or Tibbs feels that way with this particular ref. I don't want to hear it. You lost the game. You got beat. Trae Young punked you rolling the dice on center court.
But I will say, I love Jalen's response. I think a lot of people are like, oh, how do you not step up to him? And hey, the game's over, man. He can do it as long as you're not committing a crime. I mean, he earned the right to throw the dice, pick him up. He won some loot. Let's go.
What he said was, if we didn't want him to do that, we should have beat him.
Great response. Perfect response.
That's the exact response that you want. All right, we'll come back, reset, hit you with the king topic of the day. It is Juan Soto. BT and Sal on the Fan, 888-808-1019.